You know what we need?
A bright spot?
I'm doing all right, getting good grades. The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
So sometimes as conservatives, we keep being told by the mainstream media we're out of step, we're the weird ones, right? And you start going, gosh, am I really just that odd? Am I that far? Is the way that I see the world so different from how other people see it?
Oh,
right?
that's my life every single day.
Here's some good news for conservatives. We're not the outliers. We're not the weird ones. There's a poll out by Rasmussen that shows most Americans want more election security, and they want to make it harder for people to cheat while voting.
And you know when you can figure this out, where you figure out you're not the odd one out?
How's that?
Is when you meet up
Uh-huh.
with other like-minded people, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't realize.
I didn't realize that there were other people that thought like I did. And maybe that's why the leftists don't want us talking to people.
They don't
the
want
line
you
at the grocery
talking to
store.
anybody. They want you holed up in your basement like Uncle Joe.
They don't want us to realize how much we have in common with each other. Rasmussen asked people two questions. First one, President Joe Biden recently said America is facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. Do you agree or disagree? Now, 56% of Americans agreed, but that's kind of a vague statement. The way that Joe intended it, saying, the election laws might be our biggest challenge, that could be interpreted different ways. Maybe people are saying the cheating in the elections is the biggest thing that's facing us, right? You can interpret that statement in multiple ways.
Or you could say the Democrat opposition, the
Right.
Democratic Party opposition to voter integrity laws.
That's a big challenge to us compared to the Civil War and other things. Okay, so they asked a second question, and this one's a lot less ambiguous. It says, former President Donald Trump recently said, quote, election reform must happen in swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona, where voters have lost confidence in their electoral process. Do you agree or disagree? That's a much more specific statement. Do you agree?
Absolutely, sure.
And it's clear he's advocating to make it harder to cheat during an election, yes?
I would think so.
What's more is 61% of people in the poll agreed. 61% is a huge majority in today's political world. Only 34% disagree. So 6 out of 10 Americans say, yep, we need to make it harder to cheat. And only 1/3 of Americans say, nah, it's good.
But see, what's interesting, you can't achieve that kind of majority in a poll like that and not also bring in a substantial number of Biden voters.
Right. This isn't just Republicans. It's not like 61% of Americans are Republicans. You've got to have independents and you've got to have Democrats joining that list. And that's indeed what the breakdowns in this poll show. But by the way, here's another part of this bright spot. This isn't exactly new news. You see, back in April, Rasmussen put out another poll about voter integrity. They asked which is more important, making it easier for everybody to vote.
Oh, this is a good one.
Or making sure there is no cheating in elections. 60% of likely voters say it's more important to prevent cheating. There's that 6 out of 10 again.
Because when voters lose confidence in the integrity of their elections, they just stop going to vote. They all become disenfranchised.
And it appears voters have lost confidence in the integrity of elections because in that same poll, 51%, a majority of voters, believe it's likely that cheating affected the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, including 35% who say it's very likely cheating affected the election.
You know, there's a movie, I know I shared this with you, and this is kind of not off topic, but it's a movie called Kill Chain, and it's called The Cyber War. It's a documentary.
Okay.
The Cyber War on America's Election.
Okay.
HBO produced that.
HBO
produced that prior to, or shortly right after Trump was elected.
Oh, back in 2016.
But the point, 2017, the point there was, the point of the documentary was to show that Trump was not legitimately elected because they were showing basically how all of our voting machines in this country could be tampered with.
So they're saying back then that Trump could have tampered with it.
Yeah, but here's the reason I'm sharing.
Okay.
They've hidden that documentary on the HBO site now.
It's now not available.
Unless you go searching for it, unless you really are hunting for it.
Unless you dig.
It's invisible.
Wow.
I mean, they're using what they want you to hear and want you to see in order to influence what you believe.
Well, here's what you need to believe. A majority of Americans think that it's more important to make sure our elections are secure. And by the way, that's all racial groups. 59% of whites say it's more important to make sure there's no cheating in elections than it is to make it easier to vote. 56% of blacks and 63% of other minorities say the same thing. Likewise, minorities of all racial groups, 64% white, 59% of blacks, and 58% of other minorities reject the claim that voter IDs discriminate against some voters.
And just think about it. You never hear a Democrat saying, we need to improve the security of our elections. I mean, they never talk about that.
Makes you wonder how they get elected.